Howdy on Warlock's Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. I got a little bit of cement here left. No way, that's concrete mix. Is concrete mix the thing that I put in here? I think so. Let's see. Pillars are looking done. I'm kind of thinking I should run these across through here as well. Just to give it nice amounts of support all through here. There's still a little bit up top. Well, there's a lot up top to do yet. But, yep. I knew that was about to run out. But we're getting there on my upteenth rebuild after a collapse. I can't believe they took out this whole corner. Just whatever happened, happened. Let's see. Are you still making some for me? You're onto cement. And you... Looks like I could use some more stone. So let's go and get some more stone. So they had new season come out of Another Life, which I like the first season. Although it was better in my mind than it has been on the rewatch. Well, this kind of indicates there was a pillar here. I don't think so, though. I think my pillars are just here inside the blade traps. It's a... oh, they can easily get in through there, can't they? It's a sci-fi series where aliens called the Acacia? I don't know. Something like that. Send a spaceship to Earth, creates a big crystal tower, and so they one of the characters, he is a scientist who gets put in charge. I don't know exactly what he's a scientist of, but clearly this is the kind of stuff he studies. And then his wife is the one of the lead captains of spaceships. I don't honestly know if there's more than a single spaceship, but she was on the but she was on a flight that went out to Saturn, and as they were about to dock with the Saturn station, they got hit, and she had to seal off half the ship before it collapsed, killing half the crew, but saving the other half. If she hadn't have done that, she wouldn't have saved the other half. So she was awarded for her heroic duty, and then of course has PTSD from it, which is a major plot point in the show. But so they ask her if she wants to go because they know she can make the tough decisions. And there's a guy that she trained who's the I have spoilers. I guess I forgot to say spoilers. There's a guy that she trained who is the captain of the ship currently, and so he is not happy that she has been put in charge of his ship. He's actually a really awful person. They try to make him more humanized, nice, I guess, after the fact, but man, he is not a nice person before the fact. Um, and so he, so the series is split between those two: the dude trying to figure it out on Earth, and the ship trying to get to where they think the signal from the I can't remember if the tower is emitting a signal or if it's receiving a signal. Either way, they traced it back to a star system, and like the first episode, they are using their FTL system to get there, and they get pulled out of they get pulled out by the ship's AI that has a hologram, and um, and then it turns out that what they thought they were looking at from Earth was actually gravity lensing, and there's a massive dark matter cloud between Earth and the star system they're going to, and so it's not actually where they think it is, and they're going to have to travel either around or through said star system or a dark matter cloud. And that's where all the problems began with the ship. The oop, something loaded in there I didn't like. The so they wind up around this star, Sirius something or another, A or B, I don't remember which one. And they decide that, or she decides. Let me see if I can think how it works. She decides, based on the recommendations of the AI, that they are going to. I think first they try to go through. They don't try to go through. They try to go and use the star as a gravity boost, which is the thing where you go around the star, right, really fast, and the gravity gives you extra speed. It's pretty common sci-fi stuff and real life stuff for that matter. And so when they attempt that, the star is emitting too many pulses of like solar flares kind of thing. And so the ship. Okay, I came in here. There we go. The ship feels like it's going to break up, like it's taking damage. And so she pulls it out. And so they've decided they're going to go around the dark matter cloud because their sensors won't penetrate it, and they can't fly blind because who knows what's in there. Star systems, meteorites, comets, whatever. And so so the second in command, man, I wish I could remember their names. I think his name is like Yeza, and he talks to the engineer, and Her name is August. And so August and him come up with a way to use their FTL warp bubble to shield the ship like a force field as they fly around the star. And the AI runs the numbers, and it comes out that yes, it would work, but there's an 11% chance it could destroy the ship. And so she says, because of how important this mission is, they can't do a risk that big. And so they are not going to attempt to slingshot around the star using the warp shield as a bubble. They are going to fly around the dark matter cloud. And so then Yetza holds a mutiny. And I'm just like, well, this is kind of sudden. On my second rewatch. On my first watch, I didn't think anything of it. Just like, oh man, this is crazy. But my second time through, I'm like, this is abrupt. Although I think some of it is because of the amount of time skips. Well, no. It's abrupt, but there are time skips that could be used to excuse some of the abruptness that takes place in the show. And so they put man, you'd think I could remember. I just watched it. I'm pretty sure they put her in the captain, whose name I do not remember, back into it's Katie Sackhoff is the captain. I remember that. So they put Katie, which is not her name in the show, back into Soma sleep, they call it, which is where they are basically in suspended animation. And then he takes over, and then he flies the ship around the star system. She must not be in Soma when that happens. I don't remember. She can't be in Soma though, can she? Because when he tries to fly around the star, it nearly destroys the ship, and she manages to take back over. And he is still violently angry toward her while they are trying to repair the damage done to the ship by the thing she said they weren't going to do, that he decided he had to mutiny so he could do it because she was being too complacent, and you can't get through this mission without taking risks. And so anyways, all that's pretty much the first episode, and then they're working on the ship, and they're in one of the engineering type rooms, and there's like arcing electricity along one wall because of the damage, I guess. And so it's her and him, and that's it. And he grabs a screwdriver, I think, and goes to stab her, I'm pretty sure. It really looked like he was going to stab her to me, but then they act like that's not what happened. Or she doesn't tell anybody that's what happened. So she just says she killed him. And so she kicks him into that lightning, and he dies. Lightning, electricity, arcing electricity. And he dies. And so that's the end of him. And but then she keeps telling people that she killed him. And I'm just like, technically, yes. Not even technically. Yes, you killed him, but it's not like there weren't actual extenuating, he's going to stab you to death circumstances. I would have labeled it more of a self-defense moment than a I killed him moment. Because he clearly picked up a weapon and was heading toward her when she turned and kicked him into the energy. Now, did she kick him into the energy on purpose? Yes, it clearly looked like she may have done that on purpose. But would she have done it had he not been trying to kill her? No, I don't believe she would have. So then, um, after that, um, it kind of gets to be Monster of the Weekish, which I was kind of surprised it did. I didn't remember that from my original watch through. But it's definitely like every time they do something, something goes wrong. Doesn't matter. There are no episodes where good things happen to this ship. There's only bad things happening to this ship. Now back on Earth, it's not as bad, except for they get to a point where this because of the attempted slingshot around the star that severely damaged the ship, they've lost comms. And so they cannot contact Earth. Although I feel like at this point they probably should have had their comms fixed. I don't know what they could have possibly burnt out that they show them repairing things like their FTL drive. One would think if you could repair your FTL drive, you could repair your comms back to Earth. But they still have not managed to contact Earth, so I don't know what the deal is there. But Earth thinks they could be dead, and so because of that, there was a civilian observer on board, who was a congressman's son. Actually, he was a congressman, but he's also like the Secretary of Defense's son or something like that. Not a congressman's son. And so his father took over the project back on Earth and brought military in, and so during all of that, the artifact on Earth, the Crystal Tower, fired a pulse that knocked everybody out, but gave a girl cancer. And so, which is the daughter of the scientist and Katie Sackhoff, the captain of the ship. And so, that's about the worst thing that happened back on Earth, honestly. But man, the ship, like every planet they land on, they get attacked or infected or something, and the Akaya, that's what they're called. The aliens are called the Akaya. So at one point, toward the end of the first season, like the end of the first season, the ship lands on this planet where the signal they thought was coming from, and it's an alien planet with an alien race on it, that are not the Akaya, and they happen to have an AI of their own that translates between English and whatever those things were called. They're like bat people. And so they find out that the Akaya are known as destroyers, and that the humans should hide. And they're like, well, it's too late. They're already on our planet. And so then you discover, because the Akaya have taken over the senator's son, or the not senator, but the Department of Defense guy's son, and are now trying to destroy the ship because the ship, it turns out, can be used as a weapon. I know, I hope you're not shocked that humans would send weapons on a flight to discover whether or not an alien species was hostile to Earth. And so they talk to the one alien they could find. They find out that most of the other aliens on the planet are dead. And the AI translates for them, and they tell the alien that they could probably destroy the tower, which they haven't managed to do back on Earth. So, but that's what the senator's son, or the, I keep calling him that, the congressman dude, discovers on the ship, is that they can actually use their their FTL drive to build up a energy pressure wave and then shoot that from the front of the ship. And so they do that to blow up the tower, and then the Akaya show up with like 5 ships and blow up the planet, and that's the season finale for the first season. And I liked it. I mean, I still like it. It's not as slick as it could be. I really think there's another series out there that I haven't mixed up with in my head, that I'm not sure what the other series I watched was now, because there was an episode where they found another ship that was sent out before, that was loaded up with all these women, is all I remember. And they were all like old because they'd been flying for so long. I don't remember what show that's from, but I thought that was in this show. And I kept waiting for that episode because they have to use something from there to repair the ship, I think, that they're on. And now I'm like, man, I need to go look up what that came from, because I remember liking that show. So maybe what I liked was the other show, because this one's not as good as I remember it being. But I also don't distinctly remember things. I remember generalities. Generalities. Is that right? Generalities. I think so. And vague feelings about stuff most of the time. So, I'm liking it so far. Although I do have to say, I am not pleased with episode 2 of this new season. The they had a thing going on with the engineer and a couple of other crew members, and they just kind of ended that. Just killed off 2 of the characters. And I wasn't expecting that to happen. And it wasn't even like a good death or anything. They just offed them. And so that was weird. But yeah, they got some other characters. I feel like it's got some good concepts going on, and I'm liking it. Do not get me wrong. I am enjoying this. It just could be a little more nuanced. It's not as nuanced as I personally would have maybe done. For example, they've got they got the AI, right? And so we're on season 2 now. I'm like, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes, I think, into season 2, baby. And so, uh, the AI is very human-like, which is fine. And the AI in the first episode tells uh, the captain that he has been designed as the interface for the ship's AI based on her personal life, and so that he is an amalgamation of people she admires, people she loves, and they've taken all the information they have, psych profiles, recordings, all of that stuff, and um, run them together to create him. And so he has some issues with his emotional programming. And so sometimes he'll run into an emotional issue that he has to overcome that ends up eating up a lot of the processor power of the ship. It's happened a couple of times on there. One of them was exasperated by the congressman guy. But so now we're in season 2, right? And the beginning of the episode, they're like, this is the ship's AI that's going with them. And it's a different personality. And so they're like, all right, we're going to try this thing. Oh no, somebody shut it down on us. And they're like, well, it must be this other character. And then they're like torturing the other character to make her say that she's the one that did it. And so they're like, don't be torturing people on my ship, the captain says. And so they go and scan the AI, the main AI, and then he's like, oh no, it must be me. And then poof, he disappears, and it becomes this other AI who's never been shown before. So that makes it a little more monster of the week. I think I prefer my shows when they're a little more written out ahead of time. I mean, obviously they write out the season ahead of time, probably, but they didn't write out the entire like story arc ahead of time. And I definitely prefer my shows to be a little more story arced and a little less from episode to episode. Well, I think I'm actually going to call it a little bit early for once. So, with that, be better than the small things, lean into the light. I will talk to you later.